I sat at the head of the table, my table in my dining room, watching Marcus wave the purchase agreement like a victory flag. The paper caught the light from the chandelier and I could see the buyer's signatures, dark and confident across the bottom. $950,000, Mom repeated, her voice trembling with pride. Cash buyer, no contingencies. Dad raised his wine glass. To Marcus. Finally getting his tech company off the ground. My sister Emily leaned forward. When do they close? Next Friday, Marcus said. He was grinning, that wide smile he'd perfected in high school when he talked his way out of things. Buyer's architect already designing the custom home. Permits submitted to the county. Moving fast. I took a bite of salmon. Tasted like nothing. The Lakefront lot. Parcel 847B, 2 acres of prime waterfront property on Lake Hartwell. I'd bought it 6 years ago for $340,000 with money from my tech consulting contracts. Not inheritance. Not family money. Marcus had found the purchase agreement in my file cabinet 3 months ago when I let him borrow my office for a video call. I'd been in London on a 3-week contract. When I returned, he mentioned he'd organized my paperwork. I thought he meant stacking files neatly. The lot's been sitting empty for 6 years, Marcus continued, pouring himself more wine. Waste of capital. This sale gives me enough to hire a development team and launch the app properly. Smart, Dad said. Property just sitting there doing nothing. I'd bought the lot the week after my company went public. I was 28. The celebration had been champagne at a hotel bar with people I barely knew. I'd driven to Lake Hartwell the next morning, walked the property line, and felt something close to peace for the first time in years. The water was still. The tree line perfect. I'd imagined building there someday, something small just for me. Buyers excited, Marcus said. Architects already drawn up plans. 5-bedroom modern with infinity pool. Guys got money. Emily pulled out her phone. Can I see the contract? Marcus handed it over proudly. He scrolled through, nodding. Everything looks official. Escrow opened, title company processing. I watched her read. She was a paralegal. She should have noticed. Mom reached across the table and squeezed Marcus's hand. We're so proud of you. Taking initiative. Building something. The salmon sat heavy in my stomach. I'd stopped responding to Marcus's texts 4 weeks ago, right after he'd asked about liquidating and used assets. I thought he meant his own storage unit. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out under the table. Unknown number. I almost declined, then saw the area code. Local. Excuse me, I said, standing. Work call. Nobody looked up. They were passing the contract around now, examining it like a trophy. I walked into the hallway and answered. Hello. Is this Jordan Matthews? A woman's voice, professional but strained. Yes. This is Rebecca Chen from Summitland Surveying. We're working on the boundary survey for parcel 847B, Lake Hartwell. The closing's scheduled for next Friday. My chest tightened. Go on. I'm calling because we've encountered a significant discrepancy. Papers rustled in the background. The legal description on the purchase agreement references parcel 847B, lot 23, section 4. But when we pulled the current deed from county records, the property is listed as parcel 847B, lot 23, section 5A. I leaned against the wall. What does that mean? It means the parcel number on the sales contract doesn't match the actual deed. We ran it twice. The property being sold, according to this contract, doesn't exist as written. Wrong section number entirely. And the current deed? Shows ownership under Matthews Family Trust with Jordan Matthews as sole trustee. Deed recorded April 2019. She paused. Are you aware your property is being sold? Through the doorway I could see Marcus demonstrating something with his hands. Everyone laughing. Dad refilling wine glasses. I wasn't, I said quietly. Until tonight. Rebecca's voice shifted, careful now. Mr. Matthews, I need to inform you that we're required to report this to the title company immediately. The legal description mismatch is a red flag for fraudulent conveyance. The sale cannot proceed. What happens now? Title company will contact all parties. The transaction will be suspended pending investigation. If the deed was forged or the seller lacks authority, there will be legal consequences. She paused. I'm sorry. I know this is difficult. Don't be sorry, I said. You just did your job. I hung up and stood in the hallway for 30 seconds. The ghost ledger was already writing itself in my head. 6 years of ownership. 6 years of property taxes I paid alone. $4,800 annually, $28,800 total. 6 years of brush clearing, tree maintenance, erosion prevention. Every summer I'd driven to the lot on weekends, walked the property line, imagined the house I'd build someday when work slowed down. Last Christmas, Marcus had asked to borrow $15,000 for startup costs. I'd said no. He'd called me selfish in front of the family. Nobody defended me. 2 years ago Marcus's first business failed. He'd borrowed $50,000 from Mom and Dad's retirement fund. Never paid it back. They said, family helps family. I'd offered to loan them money to replenish the retirement account. Dad said, keep your money. We don't need charity. 18 months ago, Emily's wedding. I'd gifted $10,000. Marcus gave a blender. Emily thanked us both equally. Every family dinner Marcus talked about his ideas. His vision. His app that would change everything. Everyone listened like he was Elon Musk. When I mentioned my consulting contracts, Fortune 500 companies for $100 per hour rate, Mom said, that's nice dear, and changed the subject. The ghost ledger had line items they'd never see. Cost of being reliable, never celebrated. Cost of success without drama, invisible. Cost of boundaries, labeled selfish. I walked back into the dining room. Everyone was still celebrating. Everything okay? Mom asked absently. Fine, I said. Just the surveyor. Marcus looked up sharply. Surveyor. For the Lakefront lot. I sat down, picked up my fork. Rebecca Chin. Summit Land Surveying. She had some questions about the boundary survey. His face shifted, something passing behind his eyes. What kind of questions? Technical stuff. Legal descriptions. Parcel numbers. I took a bite of salmon. She said she'd contact the title company directly. The room went quiet in a way that felt heavy. It's standard procedure, Marcus said quickly. Title companies always verify surveys before closing. Right, I said. Except she mentioned a discrepancy. Emily's paralegal instincts activated. What kind of discrepancy? The legal description on your purchase agreement. I nodded at the contract still on the table. References parcel 847B lot 23 section 4. But the actual deed shows section 5A. Wrong parcel entirely. Marcus's wine glass stopped halfway to his mouth. That's probably just a typo, Dad said. These things happen. Maybe, I said. Except the deed also shows the property is held in Matthew's family trust. With me as sole trustee. The silence now felt like a physical presence. Mom's voice came out careful. I thought the lot was in your name. Individual ownership. It was. I transferred it to an irrevocable trust in 2019. Legal protection for high-value assets. My attorney recommended it when my consulting revenue crossed certain thresholds. I looked at Marcus. He'd gone pale. The trust documents are recorded with the county. The deed explicitly states that any property sale requires my signature as trustee, notarized with a certified resolution from the trust. Not just my signature. The whole legal package. Emily picked up the contract, flipping pages. This just has one signature. Jordan Matthews. No trust documentation. I know, I said. I didn't sign it. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. What are you saying? I'm saying Marcus forged my signature and tried to sell property he doesn't own. Marcus stood abruptly. That's insane. This is a legitimate sale. You've been ignoring that lot for years. 6 years of property taxes I paid. Alone. $28,800. 6 years of maintenance. It's mine. You don't get to decide it's wasted. You weren't using it. So you committed fraud? My voice stayed level. Found my purchase documents, forged a contract, somehow convinced a buyer you had authority to sell? I was helping you. Marcus's voice rose. You're sitting on almost $1 million of equity doing nothing with it. I have a business that needs capital. Then ask. Don't steal. Mom intervened, her voice shaking. Jordan, Marcus made a mistake, but this is family. We can work this out. Marcus will cancel the sale. He can't cancel it, I said. The title company is already investigating. Rebecca Chin is required to report the discrepancy. Fraud. Criminal fraud. Attempted theft of property worth nearly $1 million. The room felt airless. Emily was reading the contract carefully now, her paralegal brain working. The notary stamp looks legitimate. How did you get a notary to witness a forged signature? Marcus didn't answer. I'm guessing you didn't, she continued. Which means forged notary stamp too. That's a separate felony. Dad found his voice. Jordan, you can't seriously be considering pressing charges. This is your brother. My brother who tried to steal $1 million property. He was trying to build something, Mom pleaded. His business, his future. You have consulting income. You'll be fine. Why would you destroy his life over a lot you're not even using? The ghost ledger scrolled in my mind. Every dinner spent listening to Marcus's dreams while mine went unmentioned. Every time I succeeded and received a, "That's nice, dear." Every boundary labeled selfishness. Every time family meant, give Marcus what he needs. I bought that lot the week after my company went public, I said quietly. I was 28. I drove there alone because nobody asked how I was celebrating. I walked the property line and planned the house I'd build someday. Not a 5-bedroom modern with an infinity pool. Something small. Just for me. You never told us you'd gone public, Mom said. I did. You said, "That's nice, dear," and asked Marcus about his app idea. The silence stretched. My phone buzzed. Text message from unknown number. This is Rebecca Chin. Title company contacted. Sale officially suspended. Police report filed per company policy. Detective will contact you Monday. So sorry you're dealing with this. I showed the text to the table. Marcus sat down heavily. His face had gone from pale to gray. Police report, Dad repeated. Jordan, you can stop this. Call them back. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was fraud. Emily was still reading the contract, her expression unreadable. Finally, she looked up. The buyer transferred $95,000 in earnest money. 10% deposit. That money went into escrow. She looked at Marcus. Where was it supposed to go after closing? Marcus didn't answer. To you, she concluded. You were going to pocket $950,000 from selling Jordan's property. I was going to pay him back. Marcus burst out. Once the app launched, once revenue started flowing. You can't pay back stolen property, I said. That's not how this works. Mom was crying now. Please, Jordan. He's your brother. Family forgives family. Family doesn't forge signatures, I said. Family doesn't steal million-dollar properties. Family doesn't call you selfish when you say no to a loan, then try to take everything. Dad's voice was cold. If you press charges, you'll tear this family apart. Marcus tore it apart when he decided his business mattered more than basic honesty. I stood, pulled my keys from my pocket. The detective will contact me Monday. I'll cooperate fully. The title company has all the documentation. The county has the trust deed. The surveyor has the discrepancy report. This isn't about me pressing charges. It's about Marcus committing crimes. Where are you going? Mom asked. Home. My home. The one I bought. That nobody tried to steal. I walked to the door. Behind me, Marcus was saying something about mistakes and second chances. Emily was silent, still holding the contract. My parents were pleading. I drove home through dark streets. The city lights reflected off the lake in the distance. Somewhere out there was parcel 847B, section 5A, lot 23. Still mine. Still waiting. That night, I pulled out the original purchase documents. The deed recorded and legitimate. The trust transfer documents, signed by my attorney and properly notarized. The surveyor's map showing the exact property boundaries. I thought about what Marcus said. Property just sitting there doing nothing. It wasn't doing nothing. It was being mine. It was existing as proof that I could build something, buy something, own something without permission or approval or family consensus. It was 2 acres of possibility that didn't require committee vote. The mechanical process of justice began Monday. Detective Maria Santos called at 9 a.m. Professional, thorough. We've reviewed the title company's report. The forgery is clear. Forged signature, forged notary stamp, fraudulent legal description. We'll need your statement. I gave it. 3 hours at the police station walking through timeline, documentation, family relationships. Why didn't he just ask you? Detective Santos asked at one point. I'd said no to a loan before. He didn't want to hear no again. The prosecution happened faster than expected. The evidence was overwhelming. Forged documents. Paper trail. The buyer's architect as witness. He'd met with Jordan Matthews, who looked nothing like me. Marcus had impersonated me in that meeting too. 6 weeks later, Marcus pleaded guilty to wire fraud, forgery, and attempted theft. The prosecutor was harsh. This wasn't desperation. This was calculated theft of family members' property worth nearly $1 million. The defendant showed no remorse until caught. 18 months minimum security prison. 5 years probation. Restitution of $95,000 to the buyer for earnest money damages. Permanent criminal record. My parents stopped speaking to me the day he was sentenced. Emily sent one text. I understand why you did it. But I can't choose sides. I blocked everyone except Emily. I kept her number active. Just in case. 3 months after sentencing, I hired an architect. Not for a 5-bedroom modern with infinity pool. For a 2-bedroom cabin with floor-to-ceiling windows facing the lake. Clean lines. Simple. My construction took 8 months. I visited the site every weekend, watching it rise from the property I'd protected. The property Marcus tried to steal. The property that was never just sitting there doing nothing. The cabin finished in October. I moved in on a Saturday. No housewarming party. No family celebration. Just me, furniture I'd chosen, and a view of water that belonged to me because I'd fought for it. The guest bedroom stays empty most of the time. Emily visited once, 3 months after I moved in. We had coffee on the deck. She didn't apologize for staying neutral. I didn't ask her to. It's beautiful, she said, looking at the lake. It's mine, I said. He understood. I still consult remotely. Fortune 500 companies pay $450 per hour now. I work from the cabin office, windows open, lake breeze carrying the sound of water against the shore. Sometimes I think about the ghost ledger. All those years of being reliable, successful, boring. All those costs nobody saw. The cost of being taken for granted. The cost of having boundaries labeled selfishness. The cost of success without drama rendering you invisible. Marcus is in month 8 of his sentence. Mom sends letters to his facility every week. Dad set up a commissary account. Emily told me they ask about me sometimes. How's Jordan? As if I disappeared rather than defended what was mine. I don't miss them. Thought I would. I spent weeks after the sentencing waiting for regret to arrive. It never did. What arrived instead was peace. The cabin is quiet in the way I'd imagined 6 years ago. The property line is exactly where the surveyor confirmed it. Section 5A, Lot 23, Parcel 847B. Legal and mine and protected. On clear nights, I sit on the deck and watch stars reflect on the water. The lake is still. The tree line is perfect. Somewhere in the distance, I can hear the quiet hum of boats returning to dock. Marcus wanted to turn this into someone else's 5-bedroom dream. Mom wanted me to let him because family helps family. Dad wanted me to call the police back and erase the consequences. But I built what I always planned to build. Something small. Something mine. Something nobody gets to take because they decided their dreams mattered more than my property rights. The guest bedroom stays empty. The office stays productive. The deck stays peaceful. And the deed stays in my name. Section 5A. The right section. The legal section. The one that existed all along while Marcus was trying to sell Section 4 that wasn't real. The surveyor caught the discrepancy. The property line didn't match. And everything that needed to fall apart did. I didn't tear the family apart. I just refused to be stolen from. There's a difference. The lake understands. The cabin knows. And that's enough.